It's 11 p.m. and these are the headlines. 450,000 jobs have been created in Algeria, while strides have been made to raise wages and strengthen the social front. The Chief of Staff of the PNA urges to value the gains achieved so that the combat preparation year will be a success, and this was during his visit to the 1st Military Region. Back to school day for no less than 12 million pupils, and the Minister of National Education stresses that everything is put in place for a smooth new school year. And a wave of protest in Morocco. The entire country is witnessing several demonstrations to denounce corruption and social injustice while demanding the long-awaited justice reforms. Welcome back, everyone, to today's edition, where we shed the light first on the approach adopted by the President of the Republic to make the life of the citizen a reflection of the expectations. A comprehensive and fair approach, indeed, based on moving forward towards fortifying social front, while mechanisms have been added to raise wages, create jobs, and reduce unemployment rate. Yasin Hamdi explains.
The economic aspirations reached a high level in Algeria and are based on an approach that increases the gross domestic product, facilitates investment and varies exports, which reflect a deep political will and the social aspect of the government enshrined in the constitution, which takes in charge all the categories of the society, especially the youth and the working force. This will only happen by increasing the purchasing power and creating jobs.
الهدف الرئيسي لرئيس الجمهورية هو ترقية حياة المواطن الجزائري.
The main objective of the President of the Republic is to improve the living conditions of the Algerian families, and this by developing the health system and education, in addition to increasing the purchasing power by increasing the salaries.
القدرة الشرائية أو استقرار القدرة الشرائية للمواطن.
The improvement of the purchasing power is reflected by the increase in salaries and retirement pension, as well as the activation of the contractual system, then the creation of 450,000 jobs in the upcoming years.
رئيس الجمهورية عندما يقول أنه تحقيق 450 ألف منصب شغل هو يتحدث بطبيعة الحال.
When the President of the Republic talked about the creation of 450,000 jobs, he meant the active sectors that need workers, especially with the new ideas of the youth that create startups, as well as those entrepreneurs. The energy sector plays an important role in the strategy of the President of the Republic, as he attaches big importance to the quality of the companies more than the number of companies, as only quality can ensure jobs. According to specialists, another approach will also have a positive impact on the national economy, an approach based on small and medium businesses in addition to the startups, with the will to increase the current number of startups from 8,000 to 20,000 in the upcoming years.
And Army General Saad Chengiha, Chief of Staff of the PNA, paid today a welcome visit to the 1st Military Region in Blida Province, where he gave a set of instructions and guidelines with a view to make this year of compact preparation a success. Rania Al-Bahri reports.
At the beginning and after the welcoming ceremony given by Major General Ali Sidani, commander of the 1st Military Region at the National School of Aeronautical Technicians, the General of the Army held a meeting with the executives of the 1st Military Region, during which he delivered an orientation speech broadcasted by video conference to all force commands, military regions and major units, and through which he expressed his satisfaction for this working visit, which constituted an opportunity to encourage the personnel to enhance the achievements and remedy the shortcomings recorded in order to ensure the greatest success for this new year of combat preparation. The Army General expressed his great satisfaction for the holding of this inspection working visit, which offered him the opportunity to meet the executives and personnel of the 1st Military Region. He gave a set of instructions and guidelines with a view to make 2024-2025 combat preparation year a success, adding that he wants from this year to be an opportunity to enhance the achievements and remedy the shortcomings recorded during the past year in order to perfectly fulfill the assigned missions and continually adapt the geopolitical changes that surround us and the accelerated changes taking place in the sub-region and around our national borders to call on our army to redouble their vigilance and exercise greater caution and consolidate surveillance systems while ensuring the appropriate improvements and adjustments which are made to what has been accomplished so far in line with the objectives set for this new year, whether in terms of combat preparation of personnel and units, increasing the availability of the battle corps of the National People's Army, or in terms of securing our borders, fighting drug trafficking networks, illegal immigration, and organized crime in all its forms. On this same occasion, the General of the Army addressed on his behalf and on behalf of the personnel of the National People's Army his warmest congratulations to Abdelmajid Tebboune for his re-election as President of the Republic following the early presidential elections of September 7, 2024. He reiterated that his commitment within the National People's Army is to continue the work under his leadership with selflessness and dedication in order to consolidate the security and stability of the country, further enhance the operational readiness of our valiant army, and strengthen its professionalism in order to enable it to face all threats and thwart all subversive and hostile plans. He also extended his congratulations to all the personnel of the National People's Army and the various security services in recognition of their considerable efforts and the high sense of duty and responsibility they have demonstrating once again their willingness to contribute effectively to the success of this kind of important meeting through the securing of all stages of the electoral process, making this event another decisive step in the establishment of a true democracy and the safeguarding of our republican regime.
أسس الديمقراطية الحقيقية وتحسين نظامنا الجمهوري.
At the end, the Army General gave the personnel a set of instructions and guidelines covering in general the need to maintain the operational readiness of the units and consolidate the security and stability factors throughout the national territory before following with great interest the interventions of the region's executives who shared their concerns and proposals.
In other news now, and tasked by the President of the Republic, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and National Community Abad Ahmed Attaf arrived in New York to take part in the proceedings of the high-level week of the session of the United Nations General Assembly. Ahmed Attaf will take part in the Summit of the Future. On the sidelines, Attaf held bilateral talks with several of his counterparts from brotherly countries, namely the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Egyptian Affairs Abroad of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Badruddin Al-Ati, and the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Ayman al-Safadi, alongside the Minister of Foreign Affairs, International Cooperation and Francophonie of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Therese Kaikwamba Fagner, as well as the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the Republic of South Sudan, Ramadan Mohammed Abdullah Juk. The talks focused on means of cooperation and coordination on the most important issues and matters on the agenda of the General Assembly and ways to mobilize more support for the Palestinian cause, in addition to the upcoming entitlements on bilateral and continental level. And tomorrow, Sunday, September 22nd, will be marked with no less than 12 million pupils joining schools. Crucial changes have been made to ensure a perfect and conducive education environment. Najah Tayyar explains.
The new school year 2024-2025 starting this Sunday is to receive almost 12 million pupils in all grades in total, spread across 30,000 schools nationwide, which undergone significant transitions. A lighter curriculum and a reduction in the number of subjects for the first and the second primary school grades comes as a major change. However, this measure does not apply to subjects related to the national identity. Another measure coming into force this year is the introduction of English in the program of primary school's 5th grade, with a new school textbook that is now available. The transitions include also the integration of digital technologies. This year, 17,000 elementary schools will gradually be equipped with digital tablets, bringing the total to 5,000 tablets. This school year brings yet another substantial adjustment concerning artistic and sporting activities, as the time allocated to them has been increased from 7% to 20%. Following the President of the Republic instruction, the National Higher School for the Deaf-Mutes to train teachers for people with special needs has been set up. In order to strengthen the sector in terms of infrastructures, 604 educational establishments were constructed, including 354 elementary schools, 1,062 middle schools, and 88 high schools, as well as 459 school cafeterias across the various provinces. In a significant new initiative, students of all the 3 educational levels will receive their first ever road safety course on the opening day of the new school year. This inaugural program aims to enhance awareness among pupils about the dangers of road accidents and promote a safer behavior on the roads.
In an exclusive interview for the Algerian television, the Minister of National Education, Abdel Hakim Belabed, affirmed that all the necessary means are put in place and mobilized for kicking off the new school year. Let's have a listen.
التحضير للدخول المدرسي يبدأ بدأناه.
We started the preparation for the new school year November 2023, and we carried out many operations. There were major preparations and regional, national, local meetings. All preparations for schooling and supervision were completed. We also tackled this in the Council of Ministers in August 14, 2024, supervised by the Prime Minister. We did everything that had to be done. As I always said, the state is very generous towards the school. Under the leadership of the President of the Republic, we are ready for our children to start school year tomorrow. Regarding the provinces affected by the floods, I assure everyone that the state has done all its duty.
Up to the latest developments of the ongoing genocide against Gaza, a new horrific massacre against the displaced civilians inside the school in a Zaytun neighborhood south of Gaza took place. A new massacre added to the endless criminal record committed by the Zionist occupier. Our correspondent in Gaza, Oussama Bouzaid, came with the following, taking up by Najah Tayar.
In a preliminary toll of one of the latest massacres committed by the Zionist occupation army against a school sheltering displaced people in a Zaytun neighborhood east of Gaza City, more than 22 martyrs and 30 injured were recorded, including 13 children and 6 women, in a horrific crime that took the lives of innocent people whose concern was to find safe places away from the war zones. Mercilessly, the occupation pursued them.
My sister-in-law with her 4 children martyred. In this neighborhood, it's possible that the dead number exceeded 30, but we will still be standing.
As for the duration of the past 72 hours, several genocidal attacks were committed by the Zionist forces that killed more than 120 Palestinians and 200 injured. Among these victims were 3 medical workers after the occupation bombed the stores of the Ministry of Health in the city of Rafah.
My sister, her children, 2 of my brothers, all passed away. They were at home when suddenly a rocket bombed them. They were all martyred then.
In the night hours, the occupation warplanes targeted a house in Khan Yunis city, south of Gaza Strip, where 6 members of one family were martyred.
We don't know how much children died here. There were women and kids in here. We found only parts of their bodies.
All these numbers of martyrs stand as a testimony to what the occupation is committing against the Palestinian people day and night.
Lebanon now is going through hard times marked by an escalation of internal tensions. The Zionist bombings and the targeted assassinations are threatening the vital infrastructures. In a chaotic atmosphere, the Lebanese are doing their best to resist. Yassir Hamdi with a picture.
It is one of the worst crises in the history of Lebanon, as the Zionist bombings are still ongoing in the south of the country. Friday's attacks killed 37 civilians, thus increasing the number of martyrs to more than 700 since the beginning of the genocide on Gaza on the 7th of October 2023, a situation that makes the Lebanese people expect the worst. It is a dangerous period for Lebanon that could worsen and become just like Gaza. It is a technological war based on artificial intelligence led by the Zionist entity and supported by the Western countries that mobilize other technology and security resources to ensure the Zionist victory and put an end to our resistance and avoid any further questioning on the existence of a Zionist state. In this chaos atmosphere, Lebanon is facing a new wave of assassinations as people are targeted, which weakens the stability of the country. This climate of violence arouses concerns at the national and international levels. The escalation of assassinations in Lebanon marks a new war phase which needs awareness, national unity and mutual efforts of the Lebanese factions and the diaspora. The government has to be prepared to face any urgent situation while international procedures are ongoing to denounce the situation. The vital infrastructures, especially in the sectors of health and education, are in a critical situation as there is a huge lack of material at the hospitals and it became very hard to treat the wounded, and the schools can't ensure minimal education. The sector of health is about to collapse and the sector of education is destroyed. The government is totally absent while it is supposed to handle the essential sectors. All I can say is that we're doing our best to resist and protect our country. We hope that this war ends. I dream about a great nation where all the Arab countries can prosper in unity. Despite resistance, Lebanon risks to collapse without international support and national unity.
And the wave of protest in Morocco. The entire country is witnessing several demonstrations to denounce corruption and social injustice and demanding the long-awaited justice reforms. But these protests were violently repressed by the Mahsa regime. Reported William Bahri.
In response to calls by free Moroccans, several demonstrators took to the streets in several Moroccan cities. Their slogan, "All responsible, all concerned." Massive demonstrations and the growing mobilization to denounce the corruption and restriction of freedoms. Protest movements accentuated by the arrest and mistreatment of a number of Moroccans arrested when they tried to cross legally into the Spanish enclave. The Moroccan Association for the Protection of Money has emphasized the corruption in the Makhzen and demands an end to impunity. This same association describes this phenomenon as a danger that requires the development of a national strategy to combat these practices. These demonstrations affected many sectors ranging from health to education to higher education. The demonstrations also come in support of Moroccan citizens left to fend for themselves following the floods that hit several regions of the country, as well as those affected by last year's earthquake. Funds intended to support victims of the earthquake that occurred last year were diverted and used for inappropriate purposes by senior officials of the Makhzen. Other grievances of the massive demonstrations in front of the Moroccan parliament in Rabat, the privatization of public services and the continuation of the normalization process with the Zionist entity, the implicit support of the Makhzen for the genocide committed against the Palestinian people, as evidenced by 4,000 Moroccan soldiers who participate in the genocide committed by the Zionist entity in Gaza, the authorization of docking of a ship carrying weapons to the same entity, but also the increase of 169% of trade with the Zionist government. Worse still, according to Moroccan opponents, Zionist soldiers who took part in the massacres in Gaza were invited to spend a vacation in Morocco. The practices of the Makhzen aren't limited only to stifle the voices opposed to any normalization with the Zionist entity, but to the confiscation of the lands and homes of the vulnerable Moroccan population and attributing them to the Zionists. Fleeing his responsibilities, Mohammed VI arrived in Paris for a private visit, a visit described by Moroccan opponents as an escape on the eve of the anger of the street. Faced with these protest movements, the response of the Makhzen was most violent, repression and mass arrests to silence the popular discontent.
Back to Algeria to talk about a new booming sector, medical tourism, as Algeria is no longer dependent on its natural resources only, but on medical tourism as well. With the establishment of new specialized centers and a promising thermal potential, the country intends to mark its place in this sector. Sarah Hidoshi explains for us.
A pioneer in hydrotherapy on the southern shore of the Mediterranean since 1975, Algeria aims to position itself on the map of medical tourism through the recent inauguration of a rehabilitation center, marking a turning point in this sector. Moreover, the Ministry of Tourism plans the construction of 28 new thalassotherapy structures along the coasts. However, investors face obstacles linked to the reluctance of local banks to finance projects in the medical tourism sector. For this project to become a reality, some investment laws should be changed. Unfortunately, 60% of tourism projects are facing financial difficulties. We hope our state can change conditions when it comes to long-term tourism projects. Medical tourism also represents an undeniable opportunity for foreign investment in Algeria, given its natural assets, but especially to its human potential. We came to meet people and study the potential of starting partnerships with Algerian companies. We have an interest in meeting doctors and clinics to study the market and know what to expect. Since it's our first time, we hope to have an office here in Algeria to represent us in the near future. Algeria has around 280 thermal sources, only 18% of which is being exploited, and many establishments, which is considered as a promising potential for medical tourism and healing centers that can attract visitors from many Arab and African countries. The country has 280 thermal springs, 16,000 hotel establishments, and modern clinics, offering significant potential for medical tourism, which could also further stimulate internal tourism. There are many thalassotherapy and physical rehabilitation centers that can really help the health of a lot of patients, so it makes us think that medical tourism can help local tourism as well. To strengthen this initiative, the training programs for medical teams are ongoing. With these efforts, the country can exploit its potential and become a key player in medical tourism in Africa. Investors are ready to take up this challenge, but success will depend on the acceleration of implementation of the necessary reforms to make these ambitions come to life.
And that was it for today's news. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.